So let's get it started. I have a confession to make. I'm a recovering soloist. What does that mean? I'll give you a little bit small context. Grew up in a military family, so we were always moving. And because we were always moving, it was hard to form connections anywhere. Because, by the time you form connections, it's time to move again. And so I got used to letting go. And really quickly. I got good at it, really good at it. It was my own defense mechanism. And then I grew up and found out that to succeed, I need to form connections, lasting connections. That was a bit confusing. In the beginning, it was okay because, I was doing my own thing. My work will speak for itself. I'm good at what I do. And then got to a point where it's like, there's a glass ceiling and you can't go past that without collaboration. So how do I now start to build connection? I didn't know why I was the way I was, but I knew there was something wrong. And so after a lot of self-reflection, I found that this was the problem. I'm afraid that I'll either leave you or you will leave me. And so it's my own defense mechanism. I'm not connecting with you. It's not you, it's me. Let's move on. Let's move on, right? But in the last couple of years, consciously trying to build those networks, and yes, I am married. I have 3 kids. I haven't left them yet, so I am work in progress, right? So I'm a recovering soloist, right? And so some of us don't know the reason why we're unable to connect. So if you dig deep, if you take a minute and reflect, you might be able to find the source and then begin to deal with it from there, right? So on that note, we will start this panel session. And I love it that we have so many amazing people. And please, what I will do is just put the question out there, try to call who can answer, but please feel free to chip in. I found somewhere, I was reading about ecosystems, and it says, in ecology, resilience is the capacity of an ecosystem to respond to a perturbation or disturbance by resisting damage and subsequently recovering. Keywords: resisting damage and then recovering. So those are conversations that we'll be having. So to you, Tricia, what does it mean to cultivate a resilient ecosystem? And why is it critical to today's interconnected and dynamic world?
Afternoon, everyone. Good to be here. Okay, so the question, what does it mean to cultivate a resilient ecosystem? I think for me, it basically means, it means building a support system. It means understanding the different levers in resilience and building that. So if we want to break that down, it means 1, developing emotional resilience, right? How have you built your emotional capacity to thrive through things? So whether it is mental care, whether it is self-care, what habits are we building to ensure that we are emotionally resilient? Right? So earlier today, I was speaking somewhere and I was talking about the brain and the different centers in the brain. And there's something that I said that I'll repeat here. Many times we press more on the pleasure lobe, because it releases dopamine. So you find that you are binge eating, binge watching, binge sexing, binge everything. And that does not build you for the tough days. So instead, we need to get to the part of the brain where you are pressing on the control center. And it's somewhere in the brain called the prefrontal cortex. That's where deep work happens. That's where emotional balance happens. That's where stability happens. But because we are too distracted to sit there and do the deep work, we don't get to. So if I will say something, it will be develop the emotional part of resilience, because we create twice as human beings. You create first in the mind, before you create in the physical. That's why when somebody asks you, or when somebody presents something and like, this is not what I picture, what I want. And like, okay, so what do you want? Say, I don't know, but when I see it, I will know it. Why? Because you created in the subconscious before you create in the conscious. That's how it works. So I will say that it's understanding the different pillars and building across them. So there's emotional resilience, there's physical resilience, there's workplace resilience, there is family life resilience. So it's across different spheres, just ensuring that you are building yourself through all of them so that they come together in the ecosystem.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, we're building. And speaking of building, I will go to Ifeoluwa. I don't know if she's still out there online. Are you there? Love it. Okay, so Ifeoluwa, in and just speaking to resilience, building emotional resilience and all of that, in what ways, and we've spoken about collaboration a lot, but just asking again, how can collaboration and interdependence enhance, resilience within an ecosystem? How does that work?
All right, good afternoon. And I'm grateful for this opportunity to speak here. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Oh, awesome. Beautiful. All right. So in what ways can collaboration and interdependence enhance resilience within the ecosystem? There's a lot of English, a lot of big words, but I'd like to bring it down to as layman as possible using personal experience and perhaps something that we all can relate with at different levels. Now, I was so excited at the collaboration panel, and I gained a lot out of it. Now, for us to be able to build resilient ecosystems, simply put, having trusted people, networks that can help us in our season when we need this resilience. Because the truth is, whilst it starts with us as a person, it starts with you as an individual, you need to have that mindset that you must have that bounce back. What did he said? Bounce back ability. Yeah, I was trying to get that word. Yes, you must have that mindset. But there will be times when you would need people. That's why Scripture is saying that it says two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. That's Ecclesiastes somewhere in chapter 4. But woe is him who is alone when he falls and he has not another to help him. So it's important that as individuals, we intentionally create or be a part of trusted networks that can help us in these seasons. Because whether you like it or not, seasons where we need to be resilient will come. Challenges are normal to live in. They will always come. They never give you notice. Challenges do not give notice. But when we prepare ahead, knowing that this network is not just because we want to have fun, but because at the times when I am down, I will need this network to help me to get back up. It's good to be intentional about creating. So there's a part of intentionality in being a part of trusted support systems. A trusted support system, very intentional about the word I use, trusted support system, because there's some supposed support systems that are drainers of life. But trusted support systems, for instance, maybe a church group or a group that is related to your passion or group that's related to job or something, but you must find them. And one of the ways that I have learned from my own personal experience is being a part of helping people. What you sow, you reap. So if you have not been there for people, it's difficult for people to be there for you. So it's all about this collaboration thing. Is no man is an island. Everybody needs everybody. But we must be intentional about sowing the seed of being there for people. And in our climate in Africa, we have it as a part of the way we live. But it's starting becoming foreign now because everybody's like, I can do it by myself, I can live by myself, I can do everything by myself. And then when the chips are down, you just realize that you don't have anybody to stand for you. By this time last year, I was going through a very serious challenge. And the reason why I can speak confidently on this platform is because of the group of people that stood up for me. I lost my husband 31st of January, so we'll be having his memorial by this time next week. It was a tough season for me. And it's still a very tough one. But one of the things that has helped me is that I've been there for people in their own times of need. So when I was at that season where I was down and very vulnerable and everything, it looked like the world was crashing on me, there were people that were there to stand with me. So it's important that we're intentional about being part of trusted support systems and do our part in sowing the seeds of being there for other people. I hope this answers the question.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing.
Sorry, can I add to that?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. So I want to take the question to businesses because that's where I thrive, right? So I was saying, in what ways can collaboration and interdependence enhance resilience in business? So you know this thing about, we know when we do the SWOT analysis, right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Yes, I feel like many more businesses will thrive in Africa if only we collaborated. That's just it. If only we collaborated, many more businesses will thrive. Because when growing up, we were taught not to share our food. So we'll rather be the CEOs of 1 million naira business than to be co-founders of a $10 million empire.
Yeah.
You need to understand. For instance, my weakness is I am not a finisher. God knows why he had to have made me a woman, because if I was a man, women will be conquests, like, oh, I want to catch this one, on to the next. Yeah, so I'm not a finisher because I always have bright ideas. I'm starting the next thing. So I knew long enough to know that I need to have a partner who is a finisher, so that on the days where I'm like, let's go to the moon and fly planes there, you'll be like, sit down here first. Let's finish the earthly work the Father gave us before we move
Right?
to the moon. Yes, so
Right.
I think that collaboration will help. It will cover your weaknesses and it can help you grow income faster.
Thank you so much for sharing. And then that reminded me of something. It's a phenomenon I'm still working on. Maybe when I do my doctorate, I'll write about it, right? The phenomenon of the first, the best, and the only. As Africans, you're taught to either be the first, the best, or you're the only one. If not, you're not succeeding. And so we naturally compete because you want to be one of those things. Because if you're not one of those things, you do not feel like you are shining bright enough, fulfilling purpose, doing what you were sent here to do that is only you that can do and nobody else but you can do, right? So if we unpack the phenomenon of the first, the best, and the only, we might be more open to collaborating. But you know what? I will not keep my beautiful panel waiting. So I will come to you, but Deepak. I wanted to use your surname there, Deepak, and I would say, what role? How do leaders? I think it's a multidimensional question, but I trust that you can answer it for me, right? How do you maintain that level of engagement, reassurance and motivation? Okay, I've created a community. What next? What do I do? How do we ensure that we are a synergized ecosystem? So over to you.
Thanks everyone. Good afternoon and greetings from India. It's a very important question which you have pointed, because collaboration, as the name implies, that bringing the people together. But how far they can go, that's the important question, important. In fact, I should say the bottleneck which most of the organizations are facing, and I have seen personally in the emerging businesses, emerging communities, or maybe the people who just want to do something together but they don't know. So this situation is very critical when you have to understand that you cannot collaborate with everyone. If you want a community, that community should have a like-mindedness. I always talk about mindset alliance. So that's one thing. And as a leader, or as a person who is holding the flag, he has to be a center of attraction, and who has to talk the same language with the common goals. And that's where the lot of resistance comes into if the journey moves together. So that's what is the biggest challenge has been there. And the important part here, which I have seen after talking with 200 startups during 18 months, that there is a one single movement where these collaborations happen, where these communities gets built up. But if they the required infrastructure, resources, or the handholding is missing, then this collaboration or this journey will not last so long. So I always talk about lead by the examples, give the right framework, have a right vision, and as well as try to help each and everyone so that their personal and professional interests should get completed as the journey moves on. And that's where the lot of things are fall out of the place, and sometimes those people who are able to find it out, they can move forward and they can create a legacy for them in their midterm and long term goals.
Right.
Thanks.
Wow. Thank you. I like the statement, you can't collaborate with everybody. Yeah, even if you're ice cream, some people don't like ice cream. Yeah. And if you're sliced bread too, some people don't like bread. We're cutting carbs this year. Yeah. So you can't collaborate with everybody. Find the people that you can collaborate with and then create a shared vision. So I'm coming to you, Yetty. Now that we have created this ecosystem, we have a common vision, how can we inspire shared vision, right? And encourage individuals to contribute meaningfully to collective resilience? One of the former panel sessions, it was mentioned that, we come together. If everybody's pulling their weight, 2 plus 2 can be 6. But if no, some people are not pulling their weight, 2 plus 2 can be 3, 2, even minus 1. So how do we, create that shared vision and encourage everyone to contribute, especially in crisis situations?
Fantastic. Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Okay. First of all, thank you for having me on this panel today. It's great to be here. And I'm going to answer that question with the heart of my being a parenting coach on. And, the family is the first ecosystem that we all experience. And that can make all the difference between somebody who recognizes the importance of collaboration, the importance of interconnectedness, the importance of having a growth mindset, pulling your weight. All of those things are things that we can all first teach, role model, and show in our home environments. If a child, what we know now in the world about the importance of collaboration, resilience, so much research out there. There's so much knowledge now that it's no more about wishful thinking. We have enough information that tells us what some of the systems are for you to likely be a successful adult, whatever area you play in, either as a business person, career person, professional, whatever it is. That ability to ensure that our home environments are enabling environments that raise families, children who become adults, who know how to say yes, who know how to say no, who know how to bounce back. Resilience is about that ability to bounce back when you face challenges, not if, but when. And the challenges can be different based on the day, based on the season, based on where you live, based on what's going on in your life. So for me, it's really, really, really critical that we all go back to the home environment. Now, some of us, what am I trying to say? A lot of us have already come out of a home. So some of us can look backwards and say, okay, did I have the things I needed to make me somebody who's able to really say I have resilience, who's willing to collaborate? And sometimes lack of collaboration is really from a place of fear. It's from a place of having this feeling like, can I trust that person? Or sometimes maybe you don't even trust yourself enough to fully collaborate because you don't know if what you're bringing to the table is going to match what somebody else who's supposed to be collaborating with you is bringing to the table. So I'm very big on our thoughts and what we think about, because that leads to our actions. I think it was Trish that mentioned earlier about the prefrontal cortex. I've done a lot of work around neuroscience and what's happening in our brains, particularly around our children. And now we know, as a result of all the advancements we have in technology, that the prefrontal cortex does not fully develop till the age of 25. Why that is important is that is the part of the brain where you make the executive decisions. You're able to think logically, and you're able to make the right decisions in the right moment for your future. Now, we can all say, no child is able to do that by themselves. That's where the family environment comes in to raise that. So the reason I'm focusing so much on that is if we can all individually go away and think about, first of all, the families we were raised in and the families that we're currently in now, how do we make sure we're raising individuals that as adults will be able to collaborate, will be able to be interconnected, will be able to bounce back. Resilience is something that is a muscle. You don't either have it or you don't have it. You are consistently refining the ability to be resilient when life shows you what is coming down the line that you don't always know. And I think I'll just end with the fact that the digital world that we live in can actually make it very, very difficult to be resilient. The digital world we live in can make it very difficult to be resilient. Resilience needs a level of calm, a level of being able to reflect on your life, what you've done, the results you've gotten. If you like it, if you don't like it, can you reflect on why this is the outcome you got? Then what do you want to do about it? But in a world where we're constantly being bombarded by other people's opinions, other people's thoughts, the algorithms is shaping our mindsets, including our children. So you think that you're raising a child in Ikeja, but your child's content is constantly coming from Australia. Your child might not be the nationality or have the culture that you think you are raising. So I would say that we all start to have a real thought around, is technology helping us? Or is it actually enhancing this collaboration and resilience and cultivating this ability to do more together that we want it to do for us? Or is it actually taking away from us? So I'll stop there for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Right. It's interesting. Thank you so much for the comment. And some of us got our accents from the TV. Yeah, we're raised in Lagos. Well, we do speak British, innit? Yeah, we do that. Right? So it is so true. You need to edit, stop, and reflect. Okay, I mean, all amazing things have to come to an end. So I will ask my final question, and then we'll take it from there. So to all my panelists, I'll start with Ifeoluwa. If you could share one key piece of advice with the audience about thriving together, what would it be? Take a minute. In 30 seconds, if you could share one piece of advice about thriving together, what would it be? Ifeoluwa? You're muted if you're speaking.
All right. So one key piece of advice about thriving together will be, as a person, I'm so big on the fact that what I give out is what comes to me. And if I'm not friendly, I can't have friends. If I'm not willing to share, I can't have people pour that into me. So Proverbs says, for a man to have friends, he must show himself friendly. For me to be able to collaborate, I must be willing to share a piece of me with other people. And that's how we grow. That's how we develop. That's how we improve. And that's how we become better. And we are able to pick up when we are at those down times of our lives where we need these people the most. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. We'll go to you, Deepak. Your thoughts? Kindly unmute.
Yeah, right. So one piece of advice which I follow personally, or I should say this is my mantra, is perfection is an illusion, progression is a key. So be an action taker. Don't wait. Don't think that someone will help you. Be resourceful, take action, and move forward. That's it.
Thank you so much for that. Over to you, Yetty.
Yes, one of the things I would say around thriving is that, we should all see failure simply as feedback. And I think whatever happens, whether it goes the way we expect or the way we don't expect, is simply feedback. And the ability to learn how to reflect on things that happen and align it with what you do want is part of what helps you thrive. Then you can ask for the help that you need because you know that you're moving forward. Thank you.
Wow, failure is feedback. And to you, Tricia.
Okay, I'll say be a person of value, because communities thrive when we're giving and taking, right? So don't be the person who we've decided to come together and collaborate or do something together, and you're the person who is there to take, right? Bring value to the table, because what a man sows, he will reap. He just may not reap it where he sows it. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. I've had an amazing time with the panel. Please put your hands together for us as we step off stage.